Cent Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Matthew. Before we get into today's episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show,
featuring Kyle Liu from dap.com,
I just wanted to give a shout out to this month's sponsor, who's none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Connie Digital. Everyone listening to the podcast should be familiar with Connie. He's been a guest on here once before. And if you don't know him, he's a legend in the crypto art scene, and he's making waves now with his tokenized music. Just want to make sure that everyone checks out his website at danky.art. That's DANKY.art. And make sure that you sign up for his newsletter. And you can go to conniedigital.com/join to do that. That's CONNIEDIGITAL.com/join. That's it. Make sure you follow Connie Digital, and thank you again for supporting the show. So with that, let's begin today's episode. Okay, we're live. This is Matthew from Cent, and I'm back with another special interview on the Matthew and Rizzle podcast with my dude Rizzle. Today, we're really excited to be speaking with Kyle Liu, founder, CEO of dap.com, the cross-chain platform where everyone can discover, use, and enjoy the latest dApps. Really excited to dig into the high-level insight that Kyle has into not just the Ethereum blockchain ecosystem, but all the blockchains and all the activity going on there. Really excited to talk about metrics and get into all of that. But first, really happy to welcome Kyle to the Matthew and Rizzle Show.
Hey, Matthew and Rizzle, thanks for having me here. So my name is Kyle Liu. Let me do a quick intro, right?
Sure.
I'm founder and CEO of dap.com. So we want to be the ultimate platform where everyone to discover the latest and the most useful products in the blockchain space. And all this discovery is driven by data. So we measure, we added a lot of different metrics like on-chain and off-chain data to help discovery and measure a product's performance. That's what we do. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, thank you for coming. And I'm curious if you can kind of pull back a little and go back in time and kind of walk us through the origin story of dap.com and where it started and how it got to where it is today.
Yeah, that'd be great. So we work on dap.com since early 2018. So when we got our first 1 million check from one of the leading blockchain-based VCs called Grupo. So the story was back in 2017, I started rolling into crypto, right? And then I was a partner who is helping on the whole ecosystem developments of A-Chain. So A-Chain is a layer one chain that focus on providing low gas fees and high speed transactions. So and then at that time we start realizing crypto is booming, everyone start talking about blockchain applications, and then it all once but at the time, right, when CryptoKitty in late 2017, we're having booming, jamming the whole Ethereum network. People's understanding of dApps at the time was it's pretty much ICO. So one project, when they do an ICO, it become a dApp. And then I was like, okay, so this might not right. I mean, if we go to that direction, that might be totally messed up, because at that time we start looking at what's building, especially the news in China is actually all focused on token price. But in the Western, especially developer community, people start building NFTs and all that crypto countries, and then they were I remember there was Dragon Balls and NFTs and all that, right? But those are gone now. But at that time, it was very happening. It was there are so many cool stuff that were on the blockchain, right? And then but no one's know about it. And then in the future, right? At the time, A-Chain was we were incubating different dApps, right? And then there were a lot of blockchain. So essentially, we see that there's opportunities where people could Like they would be either like a coin market cap of dApp, or they could be either like an app store for all the dApps. So then I left A-Chain, and then we received the funding and then start building. First version, I think I remember we launched in June 2018. Right, the first version is just purely like look, like we even took this design from Apple App Store. So it's just like introductions and that's all.
Mm-hmm.
And then it start like when we start rolling in, and then it was like, oh, like there are a lot of data on chain that we could take it, right? So there are like smart contracts, and then there are a lot of transactions. So we start adding those, and then we added like, so the way that we counted, measure that is like, hey, when there was someone that send tokens, send ether into their smart contract, meaning to say someone spent money. So we start counting them, and then it become the original like version of like volume users on chain activity, and then it all become like people start looking at all those metrics, and then there was someone start manipulating the network. Because like I give an example, like if like you have one ETH and then you send from one account into one contract, so it should count it as like a one user spent it one ETH, right? And then there's one users and one ETH of volume and one transactions. And then there will start like someone like who start breaking down, like so breaking one ETH into like 100 ETH and then send it to the same contract. And by the time when the gas fee is low, so they could instantly create like hundreds of thousands of users of a product that actually no one use it. Mm-hmm. So we start like launching our own matrix, and then to track back on, hey, like where does the funding source of different wallets account, and like and then to measure like social media activities, so that we could identify which dApp is manipulating, and then we generate this dApp.com score, which we're still using now. Mm-hmm. And then we just start adding on like new blockchains like EOS, Tron, and then and like we are adding like Matic, Thundercore in this week, next week, right? And then also like pretty much every chain that we were we're having like smart contract based dApps in the market. And we ran through all the hype of like NFT in 2018, right? All this like Ponzi dApps in like mid 2018, right? And like Formal 3D, like, and then all the like liquidity mining gambling dApps on Tron and EOS, where that's when like Tron back, which was current Wink, were released at the time. Mm-hmm. So and then until like this year, DeFi, right? At beginning, like last year was like DEX, and then now DeFi. So and we in 2000, like in this year, like in May, we started to onboard a lot of like dApps, like a lot of applications that were not building fully on chain. So like including exchanges, like there are like centralized lending platforms and all that. So we start focusing on more on the product introduction side, but at the back end, we are launching a lot of like data products, so that to showcase a lot of like dashboards and all that of a different dApps. Mm-hmm. So that would be rolling out in Q4, and then also in Q4 we plan to launch a service, or we call it like a distribution network. So allow everyone to publish their products, and then also to distribute different products within the dApp.com network. Meaning to say like say for example, like Matthew, you could open up a store recommending products, generating contents, and then when people using your store, and then you can earn from that, right? So that's the idea that we were using to push new products or good products to more users. Yeah, that's the plan.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so glad like someone is taking the initiative to create like a central hub for all the blockchains and all the things going on in all the places and everything. I'm interested, like in the example that you gave before, where one person splits up one Ethereum 100 ways, and in order to essentially spoof 100 user accounts. I would imagine, especially with a site like this that's, essentially algorithm based in terms of what gets visibility, there's a ton of that type of thing going on in terms of people trying to boost their rankings. And I'm just interested, like, now that you guys seem to have found like a pretty good, algorithm per se, does that translate well across all of the different blockchains that you're onboarding, or does each one sort of like have its own nuances that you got to adjust it for? Or just sort of curious about how the ongoing process of trying to prevent people from just artificially boosting their ranking goes.
I think like right now we are using that same to like everyone, but we like every chain. But with the consideration of, say, for example, like Tron, like, right? So like Ethereum versus Tron, right? So Ethereum, when you transfer like 1 ETH, and that's equal to like, I forgot the number, but it's like a few, like 35, like few hundred thousands or TRX. So when we adjust the volume based on like token price and then the attention of the user is one way that we find it is helpful. For example, like when a user use several dApps, but he spent more on one of the dApps, and then that one gets a better ranking, and then that could actually apply to every blockchain, because that's very helpful to identify like which dApps gets more attention. Right now, we are also working on an update to the algorithm, so that it could, right, we might need to adjust for different blockchain, because, for example, Ethereum's, once we start adding the ERC20 tokens on top of it, the volume got super big. It's like, because like if we compare, right, ETH and then the ERC20 token, the trading volume of ERC20 tokens on different dApps is actually way more than the one that was trading on Ethereum already. Like trading, I mean, like spend it on different dApps. But in EOS, the EOS token is still way more than the token that was issued on EOS. So that might have to adjust a little bit, so that like when we compare something between EOS and Ethereum, that would be like more fair, because otherwise Ethereum would just dominating all, because they have ERC20 tokens and the tokens volume is so high. So this is something that we are working on to adjust that.
And then the question I have for you, I mean, Rizzle and I were really focused and like heads down grinding in NFT land within Ethereum.
Yep.
And it definitely seems like it's blowing up in our neck of the woods. I'm curious, since you have a vantage point that looks at all of the different chains, like, are NFTs just a blip on the map when it comes to the rest of crypto? Is it really a substantially growing segment? Just curious what the state of NFTs in the broader multi-chain universe looks like from your vantage point.
Yeah, I think to start with this, like, I think we have, like, I want to share one like information that was like well, right, spread in the Asian like crypto community, especially in terms of speculation. So what happened is, like, it's a paragraph or sentence you're saying that, hey, like, if you miss out something on Ethereum, you don't worry, you could always get a chance to catch it on Tron, EOS, and then the rest other blockchains like IOST, something like that. That was so true in the sense that, because all the main like innovations comes from Ethereum, and then when something got hyped, and then it will be copied and carried on to other chains, right? That's usually the case. Yeah, so you should, like, when we look at NFT, I think it's a similar way to look at it, because like even though there were people already like building on like building NFT on other chain, I wouldn't be super successful unless it was like driven by the team, like the layer one chain itself. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, like in a lot of cases, it was like, say, I'm building something on Ethereum, and then someone, a layer one chain, like send me a bunch of money or funded me, and then so that I would copy a version onto that chain, but eventually it would fade. So the point is, like, first of all, right, it all started with Ethereum. So right now, right, so well established, there were a lot of NFT right there. There were like virtual like real estate, which is like very well developed, like Cryptovosos and Decentralized Sands and all that. There were someone like who were trying to build similar things on EOS. There was one called Evolution Land, if I remember correctly, and then there were other like Megapolix, Tron, and something like that. But they like just because of the audience were not as big as Ethereum. So it didn't get into like the main market at the time. And I noticed there were short NFTs and all these new concepts. So, but that all these were happen like 2 months or 3 months before, like when it gets to like the major like public spotlights. Mm-hmm. So I would say it usually wait until like maybe like 1 or 2 months later when all these things on Tron, EOS, and other chains start like rolling out very big, because it takes time to digest. But if we look at NFTs outside of Ethereum, I would name a few that it's a must watch. So one is Wax. So we've watching Wax for quite a long time. So the way that they do it, it was like driven by like really, really strong corporate business development. Because if you look at Wax, so they have like a few like advisors from like Microsoft, from Animalcast, these guys were like in the gaming industry for a long time, right? So they have all this network there, and then they work with like game publisher, like game company, to bring their IP into like the Wax blockchain. Like what they did was with, who is it, like Shelton Williams, if I really forget the name, but so there were like a few NFT that were already bought into like Wax. Like there was Garbage Kit, which is like a famous NFT, right, like collectible cards in the States, right? And then there were like Street Fighters that were coming on board. So a lot of them. So these are like a famous IPs that everyone knows. So when they launch and then release an NFT of that, like people get into it, like can adapt very quickly. And one thing that they done great, I think, is they do this like crowd wallets. So which is something that we've done. It's similar to like Web2 login methods, so that you create a Wax account using like Google and all that Web2 methods, and you just don't need to have like an extension or something, which is easy. So I would see like in terms of NFT, they have really great potential. And then the other one that I mentioned is I recently wrote an article about Flow blockchain. So which is like founded by the CryptoKitty teams. They are the first one who knows how to make NFT fun and cool, and then and get into everyone. Right. If you look at CryptoKitty's contract, it's still selling like a few hundred CryptoKitties every day. Right. So they were still releasing a lot of crazy stuff there. And so when they launch this blockchain Flow, the first thing they do is they partner with NBA. So they have this NBA Top Shot NFT, which you could own at moments of like NBA play. So I think that is crazy big, because like NBA have like billions of fans around the world. If you just turn 1% of that would be so huge enough. And I think that their approach is also like similar to Wax. I think it's not, they're not saying that they're copying each other, but I think that's the right way to do. It's like, first thing, I make the wallets easy enough to use, because they also invested in Magic, which is Formatic, right? And then they also have their Dapper Lab wallets, which is like compatible with Ethereum. So they already have those infrastructure. And then when they roll out this big influential partnership with famous IP, it got all the attentions from the market immediately. So it's a really right way to go. So I see like great potentials in terms of NFT in this blockchain.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir with the NBA Top Shot stuff. I'm a huge fan of that project. And, growing up collecting sports cards as a kid, man, I mean, that's like, my sports card collection 2.0, coming at me. It's awesome. Dude, curious, like when you got the site up and run. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just here like I'm not sure if you're already in the the private beta or what, because it's quite expensive though. It's like
man.
It's like you guys are alright. Yeah. Did you guys bought any? I'm like,
we're in, dude.
Quite expensive. It's like
we had
$1,000.
We had Katie Tedman back on the show before it launched, and we got the early sneak peeks and early tastes. Luckily.
The FOMO is real. Cool. I mean, it's hard to deny, like, just as a super fan of the NFT space and also basketball. I mean, this is like, quite literally a slam dunk for me. I guess not literally, but no, man, that was like right up my alley, dude. When you put your site in place and you got the algorithm refined and everything, like, once you plugged everything in, is there anything that like the algorithm sort of surfaced to your attention that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed? Or, you know what I mean? Were there any surprises with the metrics that you guys are using that put some things on the map for you that you could have otherwise overlooked?
Sorry, what do you mean? I didn't quite get it.
So like, I know dapp.com is essentially algorithm based, and it's, crunching the data from all these different platforms and projects and dapps to, give them visibility on your site. So I'm just curious if there's anything that, sort of jumped to the top of the list or was doing really well based on your algorithm that you wouldn't have noticed until, your site sort of brought it to light. Does that make sense?
So I guess because like it just quite overwhelmed actually when we look at the dashboard or when we look at the ranking every day because things change it so rapidly. Like suddenly you see like some like one was on top and then there's suddenly like another range changes to the top. Like it's, for example, like yesterday, like when we noticed like like curve volume, like the trading volume of like over 2.7 billion yesterday.
Yeah.
And which is like way higher, like it already outscored like Uniswap's top one, like the all-time high. So it's like like you just find it on the swap. But I think that the cool stuff is when I think usually it's like when it is reflected on the data, when we see like this guy is on the top, something is actually already happened. So it's I think the interesting part or the insights actually come from why it happens, right? It's like why curve actually jumped so high. Right? Yesterday was actually the Harvest Finance hacked. Yeah. So and then they were like, and then we were also seeing like Compound Finance where their user amounts went pretty crazy in the over for the last 2 weeks, and then for that we were still figuring out what happened. So I think the thing is like we help to reflect something that just happened, right? But in the idea that like why are these happens, I think we still need to add a lot of different data source or maybe information source onto it. Say for example, like I don't know if they're news source or maybe they're like social media activities and all that to help our users to discover why this happened, or maybe help them to predict what's gonna happen. Like this is something that we are digging into NFT as well, because when we look at the data that we actually got in like who purchased which NFT at what price, and who and there's another address who offer like a bid price or auction price on OpenSea at XYZ Ether, right? So if we were able to get in all this data and then we could create like a price chain of like different like NFTs and all that, I think it will be really helpful to predict, to indicate what's gonna happen on a certain NFT or certain projects.
Yeah, that was sort of like my next question. Like, where's the future of that.com going? You have all the blockchains, all the dApps there, like all the information. I'm curious, like, are you guys putting more resources into the analysis and some of your longer form write-ups? What do you think heading forward the best way to communicate what the best dApps are, or what dApps people should be paying attention to will be?
I think we might end up launching like a two version of dApp.com, maybe like one for like advanced users and one for like regular users, so that like when the advanced users get to, I think like they will get like a lot of like insights, such as like, say for example, like someone got like a 1 billion flash loan on compound, like on AAVE. Mm-hmm. Right. Say those are example. Like these are information that like not everyone needs to know. Right. Not everyone's like a lot of people don't even understand what is the flash loan. Right. But so that's for like advanced users, or like those data, like those information, those news sources for them. While regular use, like entry level users, or we could just call it regular users. So when like what they want to know is like, hey, like how do you, like a user guide of a new product, or maybe like what's interesting out there. So these are two separate group of people, but it just happened both of them were in dApp.com, right? They might like someone might never visit the homepage, when they might never visit like our recommendation, but they visit the ranking, they visit the market trends every day. But another group of people, they never touch the ranking. They didn't even know there's like what does that ranking mean. But they pay attention to like all the playlists, all those by our editorial team. So I think that would lead to a split of two major functions of that.com. We are still figuring out what's the best approach of it. But right now our team is already divided into like two small squads. So one's handling like complicated data filtering, because we have to apply those new trackings into different chains. And then the other team is looking for the fun part, which is for like more of the app store part, where to help to have like engagement functions where people can discover like new products or maybe something that they need. Yeah.
How big is your team?
We are a team of 10 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've been a team of 10 for like very long. Some point we scale into like 18 or 17, and then until like we realize, like everything seems slowing down, like and then start like making our team slim again. So right now we are a team of 10.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of monetizing a site like this with like all the things, are you guys relying mainly on sponsorships and advertisements, or are you guys actually able to take some of the information you're harvesting, and are you guys able to make any investments or bets using all this information?
We do. We have like some internal. We pretty much do investments based on like a lot of like these advanced data, which they are not 100% on the site. Mm-hmm. So we are thinking of like, because we don't want to roll it out something like, hey, like you could use this and to make like, I don't know, like 100x or like 3x on like with this analytics, right? But if like usually for data tool, if you don't have those kind of cases, it's hard to get in, like hard to teach people, educate people how to use it.
Right.
So you need those like, hey, like right those use cases to educate them. And so we are still figuring what's the best approach to roll it out. So, because we like it doesn't work all the time, obviously, right? If we work all the time, then then we might become like an investment bank or right. But like it's like, but we're testing it like using like some funds, and then to do like try things out and all those. To test if like this metric is legit. This is a good indicator of that. But that is not like it's more for experiments, mm-hmm. right? And then our monetization model currently is more for from like sponsored posts and also like advertisement. Mm-hmm. So and then we were also like studying about if there is like a membership kind of model for those like advanced data metrics. Mm-hmm. That is something that we're considering. Yeah.
Dude, I know you've like made some projections in terms of what projects you think are, have some legs and are in it for the long haul. Is there anything, I don't know how far out you want to stick your neck out there, but, you guys obviously see pretty much everything with your site. Is there anything, conversely that jumps out at you, or is there any like patterns with like how things pop up on DApp.com that, almost immediately set up a red flag, like something's not right here, or like, this one's definitely going to, go down in flames shortly, or is that difficult to predict, or is there anything you see on your end that like sort of sets off some flags?
No, I think it's, you can pretty much see the user trend. Especially like it is actually very helpful in like especially on like yield farming, all those, because like you see like there are sometimes when the volume went so high, meaning to say like people will start staking money into it, and then when the user flow stop like going up, then it just means that like all the whales and all these guys were like live in the mining. So I think that's a good indicator. So when we are looking at like all those Yale farming, I think just simply looking at the user and user growth, and then the volume growth would be very efficient. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense to me, man. Dude, one of the questions we always like to ask people, and you already partially answered it with NBA Top Shot, but always interested in what like projects or NFTs or things you got in your wallet that you're just sort of like tinkering around with on the side, or just, you know, playing with out of genuine curiosity. Like what's your hobby stuff in the space look like?
That's a good one. I mean, I used to be very active on the NFT. Like I think I get, because it's actually in 2018, I had everything that I could afford to own on the space. Or I tried, like I had like keys, I had I had land, like I had decentralized land, I had like everything that were listed on dap.com. I will have one. I have this like Infinity Star, which is like a RPG game where a girl, like you having like these like cute girl characters, and then you fight with all the monsters. And like we had
Cool.
we have the MLB right, the NFT, right, CSC. Yeah, I have to check if those are still having value. and and yeah, so like we had everything, but like right now what's still remaining on my wallet is like I had Axie. They just got into Binance Launchpad, which is super cool, right? And then I have some, like I have a Sandbox land. So Sandbox is, we know the team, like they're still doing very great. Yeah, I think I don't have much left right now, but and then like there's new stuff there was one on EOS. Yeah, there were this one called Blancos. Is it called Blancos?
Blancos?
Right, Blancos. Yeah, by this one, like they received like over 10 million worth of funding on to build on Ethereum. They just launched Founders NFT sale using the, I think they were accepting fiat and crypto with by like BitPay. So it seems to me it's not like fully on chain at the moment, but maybe they just they prefer to do sales in by like in a traditional way. So I've been watching this because it seems like very promising, but I don't know what's the story behind them and EOS, because it's supposed to be the flagship project on EOS, right?
Cool.
So yeah, I think it's fun to watch all these like stories behind, like, hey, like you were supposed to do this, and but right, they keep delaying and all that. Yeah.
Dude, this is why we ask, is because people are inevitably got like a couple interesting things that they're got their eye on that are always interesting to hear about. So appreciate that, man.
Thanks. Yeah, hope it is helpful. Yeah,
I'd never heard of Blancos myself either. I'm just going down this rabbit hole right now. Look, actually, I do have some EOS, so I'm not sure if I'll have that for that much longer. This looks kind of fun.
Yeah, it's everywhere in the news. Back in the day when they funded the project.
Yeah, it's crazy how some of those things kind of just like miss certain people's radars, even if you're like living on crypto Twitter all the time. I don't know how I missed this. It's crazy. But again, like this is why we have Rizzle pick people upside down and pour out their crypto wallet so we can see what lands on the floor. I love this. So, but thank you so much, Kyle.
That's cool.
For joining us. I really loved digging into what's going on in some of the other blockchains. I think we don't do that enough as a space. We tried to do that on the whip in terms of getting like a broader perspective. But again, what a project like dap.com brings to the table, I think is really interesting. So thank you again for taking the time to talk to us about that, and keep on building.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting the great show. Great to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, man. That was great.
Hey again, this is Matthew. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode. And just want to give one more shout out to this month's sponsor, Connie Digital. Make sure that you follow him and go check out his latest updates at danky.art. And definitely, if you're not already signed up, make sure you join his email newsletter by going to conniedigital.com/join and filling in your email address and ETH address. That's conniedigital.com/join to join Connie Digital's email newsletter. Thank you all, and see you on the next episode.
Cent Podcast. Rizzle. Cent Podcast. Cent Podcast. Rizzle. Cent Podcast.